Hello, and welcome to the Washington State Board of Nursing's BONcast. I'm Karl Hoehn, and I'd like to welcome you and hope you enjoy learning about our state's Board of Nursing, officially called the Nursing Care Quality Assurance Commission, specifically about the work we do to ensure the safety and well-being of the people of Washington State. In this episode, you'll hear from people from our licensing unit describing the work that they do to make sure that nurses licensed here in Washington are competent and that the public is protected.
Welcome to the Nursing Commission's BONcast. I'm Dawn Morrell. I am a commission member and I'm also a registered nurse. Today we're going to be talking with some of the team from the licensing unit. So with me today is Licensing Assistant Director Amber Zawislak. And Amber, why is the licensing process so important?
Thank you, Dawn. Licensure is given to the nurse from the state of Washington. The license demonstrates that the nurse has met the minimum requirements to take care of our most vulnerable people in our population. People in pain, people under anesthesia, and people with mental health disorders, and even babies. These are all people who can't speak for themselves and must trust the nurse.
Thanks, Amber. It's important to note that the vast majority of nurses earn this public trust every single day. In fact, nurses have been rated top of public trust with the public for a very long time. But a few nurses come along that actually do erode that trust, and so we need to make sure that that doesn't happen. That is why the Nursing Care Quality Assurance Commission exists, to protect the public. The nice thing is that members of the Nursing Commission are nurses and members of the public. Nursing is a profession that believes in self-regulation, so by having members that are nurses that are serving on the Nursing Commission, this assures the integrity of the decisions on their licenses. So what role does the licensing team hold within the commission, Amber?
We currently regulate over 145,000 nursing licensees.
Wow, over 145,000, that's quite a lot of people. Which licenses are your team responsible for reviewing?
We currently oversee licensed practical nurses, otherwise known as LPNs, registered nurses, RNs, advanced registered nurse practitioners, ARNPs, and nursing technician registrations, which are student nurses commonly referred to as nurse techs.
So having the right team probably makes a world of difference for you and for the nurses out there that we are trying to license and get that done in a timely manner. In fact, we have two of your frontline team here to talk a bit about the licensing process. Nurses have direct contact with them throughout the process. So let's hand this over to Lori and Josh, who are going to talk a bit about how this process works.
I'm Josh. I work with the customer service unit. I'm the one that when you call in or email, I'm the one that's answering your questions and trying to help you out as best I can.
And I'm Lori, and I work with the review teams to ensure that all the licensing requirements are met when they submit their application online.
So, Lori, when should someone actually apply for a license?
That's a great question. So let me go ahead and start with the exam applications. Graduates who are applying for exam applications, they really don't need to apply super early. They can apply within about a month before they graduate. They submit their application online, and they need to reach out to their school to make sure that they are on the certificate of completion, or we refer to it as a COC, if they are graduating from an in-state college. If they're graduating from a college that's outside of Washington State, they need to reach out to their school again and also ask for an official copy of the transcript to be sent to us. We need the COC or the transcripts in order to make them eligible to test. Once we make them eligible to test, they can reach out or register with Pearson VUE, and then within 24 hours, they'll receive what we call an ATT, which is the authorization to test.
Quick question, Lori. Does anybody know what Pearson VUE is?
Pearson VUE is contracted through National Council of State Boards of Nursing and CSBN. That's the National Organization for Nurses. And Pearson VUE administers and proctors the test for RNs and LPNs as they go to sit for their national examination.
Very good.
So really important that once they receive the authorization to test, that they schedule and complete their Nclex exam within 30 days.
What exactly does Nclex stand for? Does anybody know?
Nclex stands for the National Council Licensure Examination Test.
Most schools don't have their official transcripts until their conferral dates and everything are in their systems. So you want to make sure that when you do order your transcripts, you're ordering the transcripts that have your graduation date and your degree listed. You don't want to order them too early because then you might have to order them again.
Thank you, Josh. That's a common issue that we have from time to time.
Which is why it's important to reach out to the school to make sure your name is on the COC, Certificate of Completion, which allows you to test. Once you've passed the Nclex, then you want to reach out and have your official transcripts sent to our office so that we can actually issue your license.
So if you're, as a nurse, a new graduate, you've worked very, very hard to get that degree. Is there a form that I look at so I know exactly I've got to mail this in, I have to mail that in? How does that happen?
So all our licensure requirements, if you go to the Washington State Department of Health website at doh.wa.gov and go under the Nursing Commission and under the Apply for a License tab, all our requirements are posted there, and they're all broken down, listed by the type of license that you're applying for.
So, Josh, do you get a lot of questions about exams?
I actually mostly get questions about endorsing a license from one state to another. Often in most states, they call that reciprocity. But here in Washington, we call that endorsement. Most oftentimes, people ask what they need to send in. So if you're endorsing from another state, the most important thing you need to send in right away is your out-of-state verification, and that can be done through nurses.com, which is nursys.com.
That's a great point to bring up. And also remember that on our online application, there is a link. If you click on that link, it'll send you straight over to nurses.com.
One other important thing to remember is that there are still 2 states that don't participate in nurses. If your original license is from Michigan or Pennsylvania, you'll have to reach out to their state boards of nursing to send over a verification of your license manually. Please note, though, that Michigan doesn't include education information, so if it is Michigan, you're also going to have to submit your transcripts as well. Other things to remember is if you mark yes to one of the personal data questions, it is very important that you submit the documentation right away. Whether it's court documents, your personal statement, those need to come in as soon as possible so we can get those over to review so we can try to get you licensed as soon as possible. One thing that's really cool that we have is something called a temporary practice permit, which is offered for our first-time applicants. And that's a courtesy that we offer to new applicants on their first time applying once everything is in, and we're only waiting on the fingerprints and the background check. Now, one thing to note, if you did apply previously and your application was closed for any reason, you won't be eligible for that temporary practice permit until absolutely everything is submitted, including the fingerprints.
Thank you, Josh, for bringing up temporary practice permits. A common misconception with temporary practice permits is that you have to apply for that. That is not true. We automatically issue a temporary practice permit, as you just stated. So thank you for reiterating that for us.
And that's why it's also important to get your documentation in a timely manner, because the slower it takes or the omission of documentation will actually slow down the process to get your temporary practice permit. So it's really important that you apply for your license with enough time to ensure that we have time to process everything so you can start your job on time. Don't try to wait till the last week because it's probably not going to happen in time.
I'm glad we're talking about the temporary practice permits. It's really important that you check your email because once you submit your application online and it goes through our intake process, you'll be sent an email with the instructions on how to obtain your fingerprint cards. We no longer are sending out fingerprint packets to everyone, but we are sending out an email that step-by-step explains what kind of card it needs to be on, where to send it to, and how to get the best prints that you can. Follow those directions and then send that in your own envelope to the address that's in the packet.
That's a good point, Lori. Another thing to remember is to always check your spam folder too, because it is an auto-generated email, and sometimes those can get kicked to your spam folder. So be on the lookout. It's typically 24 to 72 hours after you submit your online application. And with fingerprints, if you're having issues, just jump online and Google fingerprinting services near you, and then just call ahead to make sure they have the card in stock. The FD258 card is a standard federal fingerprint card and should be readily available anywhere you go.
Thanks for explaining that, Josh. What about ARMP license?
ARMPs are Advanced Practice Registered Nurses. The important thing when you're applying with those is to also apply with ample time. And there's certain things that are always going to be required. We're going to need a copy of your national certificate from your certifying body. It does need to come directly from the certifying body for your initial licensure. We're also going to need a copy of your master level transcripts with your MP degree on there. Those also need to come directly from the school. Now, if you're applying for prescriptive authority and it's been less than 2 years since you graduated, your transcripts will be sufficient to have your prescriptive authority approved. If it's been more than 2 years, you will need to submit 30 hours of pharmacological CE credits in order to be approved.
That's great. Let's talk about some other specialty kind of license, like nurse techs.
Ooh, nurse techs.
Nurse technician license. Those are licenses that are given to nurses who have not quite finished or graduated, but are close to graduation. Those particular applications require some additional documents, such as the employment verification and the education verification. It's important to know that these types of licenses are valid for up to 30 days after graduation, and they are also renewed annually by your birth date. So it's important to remember that.
Oh, so they're only good for 30 days. That's why it's so important to take your Nclex within 30 days of being eligible to test.
Absolutely, yeah. 30 days after graduation. That's a very good thing to remember. Thanks, Josh.
Another thing that we get a lot of are international applicants. What exactly qualifies someone as an international applicant, Lori?
That's a great question. So what makes an application what we consider an international application is where they obtain their original education, their original nursing education. If their nursing education was obtained outside of the United States, we consider that an international application, and those require additional documents. Again, you can find the list of required documents that we need to process your application on our website. It's really important to read through those and complete those requirements before you submit your application. They do take extra time. They have to go over to our education unit for their transcripts to be reviewed. So try to visit our website and review the requirements before you submit an international application.
It's interesting with the international applicants that are coming in. We have any idea how many are coming in and what happens with that process?
Recently, we have definitely seen an increase in our international applicant volume, and we are thinking that is pertaining to the borders having been closed for a couple of years due to COVID, and as they open back up, that allowed the opportunity for international applicants to apply and look for positions here in Washington State. So we're starting to see an increase. On average, we probably handle about 300 at a time of international applicants, and we're cycling them in and out as quickly as we possibly can to get them out and practicing on the floor and contributing to practicing nursing in the state of Washington.
Well, and I think that's interesting. As a nursing commissioner, it helps me realize that our duty to protect the public is actually really backed up by our licensing team, because they are checking, double checking, looking at transcripts, making things are in on time, and making sure that the public's protected when we actually award a license to a registered nurse in the state of Washington.
That's actually a good point. And it brings us to why when we require a document, we want that specific document that we requested. It's not a negotiable thing. If we request this is what you need to send in. It's not something that you can barter to something lesser. These are things that are set in the WACs, or the Washington Administrative Codes, as requirements for licensure in Washington. So if somebody asks for an English proficiency test, then send in the English proficiency test, or there's usually multiple options for one requirement. As long as you fulfill one of those options, that's fine. But those are the only options available to fulfill that requirement.
And those requirements were established by the Washington State Nursing Commission. So it is important that we, as the licensing unit, are following all of those Washington administrative codes to the T to make sure that we are ensuring the public a safe and competent nursing population.
So there's another type of application that we get, which are the reactivation applications, which are for nurses who've been inactive or expired for more than a year. Typically, those are pretty straightforward. As long as you have an active license in another state, you'll typically just need to send in the application and the reactivation fee. And those typically process pretty darn quick because we'll just jump into the nurse's database to ensure that you have an active license in another state. Now, if for some reason it's been more than 3 years and you don't hold an active license in another state, then you would be required to complete a commission-approved refresher program. You can find those on the Washington State Department of Health website if you type in refresher programs into the search bar up in the top right window. How those work is you'll sign up for the refresher program. Once you're at the part where you're about to finish your classroom portion and you need to start the clinical portion, you'll submit your reactivation application and request something called an LEA, or a limited education authorization, which is basically just a permit that you can use to do your clinical portion. And then once you've completed that program, the school will let us know and your license will be reactivated.
That's great. Does the 90-day rule apply to this one?
Oh, the 90-day rule. So first-time licensees in the state of Washington, for any healthcare license, the first time that you're licensed, if it's licensed within 90 days of your next birthday, your first renewal is the birthday the following year. If it is outside that 90 days, your birthday coming up is that first renewal.
Even if it's one day after the 90 days?
Even if it's one day after the 90 days.
That's good to remember.
And that first renewal, another thing that's important to remember is nothing is due aside from the renewal payment at the first renewal. The first renewal sets up the renewal cycle and your CE cycle moving forward.
So it gives you one full year to obtain your practice hours and your education.
Yeah. When I say CE, I'm referring to the continued competencies that are required by the state. You can find those also on our website.
And those were just recently updated last year. So it's really a good idea to go to our website and check out what the new requirements are.
So one important thing to note about the 90-day rule, though, is this does not apply to reactivation applications. Reactivations only simply turn your license back on anywhere where it falls within the renewal cycle. Our renewal cycle is birthday to birthday. So even if your license is turned on 2 days before your next birthday, you would still have to renew on that birthday because it only turns the license back on.
So reactivations are just bringing your license current to whenever you're reactivating.
That is correct.
So if your birthday is coming up within the next month, and maybe you should consider waiting or holding the reactivation until that birthday.
Yeah, you can also let us know when you submit the reactivation application that you want to hold the issuance of that until your birthday. That way you don't have to have that renewal right away.
That's a great tip. So Josh, let's talk about renewals. What can and cannot be done online? I know for continuing competency requirements, it is required that you have 96 active practice hours along with 8 hours of education every year. And active practice can be either paid or unpaid. So it can be volunteer hours or on-the-job practice hours.
And it's good with any U.S. jurisdiction.
Which type of renewals can you do online and which can you not do online?
So online renewal can only be done with a standard active license. So that active license has to be in good standing. So if it's on probation, that wouldn't be able to be done online. That would have to be mailed in. Other ones that would have to be mailed in would be a retired active license or an inactive status license. Those do need to be mailed in. Another thing to note that's important is if you renew both your ARMP and your RN at the same time, the ARMP will take an additional day or so to renew because we will go into the system to verify that your national certificate is up to date. So if you do pay for the ARMP at the same time, just know it will take at least 24 hours before that one is updated.
I'm so glad you brought up ARMP renewals online. Another thing that's important to know, especially for people newly licensed in Washington State, is RN's renewal are annual every year, whereas ARMPs, their renewals are every 2 years.
Except for the first renewal.
Except for the first renewal. That's
the
true.
First renewal will be the first birthday after your license. One thing to note is that for RNs and LPNs, you can still do a late renewal even if the license is expired as long as it's less than 1 year.
That's great to know. It used to not be like that, but now it just recently changed, so late renewals can be done online.
So is there a fee associated with late renewal?
Yes, you can find the fee schedule listed under the Washington State Administrative Codes. It varies depending on the type of license. The online renewal system will automatically input the late fee when you do a late renewal online. But also note that ARMPs cannot renew late online. Those will have to be mailed in.
So I know we've done a lot of work on our website. I just want to encourage everyone, before you call in, to take a look at our website. Josh mentioned earlier that if you type in the search field on our website, you can find almost anything. So RN and then reactivation or continuing competency or fee schedule, any of those can be found on our website. And I encourage you to try to find it on our website before calling in. But Josh, if someone calls in, what are some other good tips for them to have when they call into our office?
When you call in and reach out, be prepared. Make sure you have a pen and paper handy. We might give you a piece of information that you didn't know. If you're calling about a technical computer issue that we do help with occasionally, be at your computer ready for our assistance. We do have a large call volume. We get between 200 and 300 calls per day. And we want to make sure that we help everyone in the most time-efficient and effective manner as possible. So we are prepared for you, and we just want you to be prepared for us when we answer the phone. Another thing to note when you call in, we don't quote timeframes. Timeframes fluctuate. Every application is unique, so just note that timeframes fluctuate depending on volume, depending on items needed. There are many factors that go into timeframes. So calling in for a timeframe, you aren't going to be able to quote anything on that.
And the big question, do we expedite any applications?
Yes and no. No, we don't expedite applications unless you send in your military orders. Military personnel and their spouses are allowed to have expedited service.
That's great to know.
This is all really great to hear, and sometimes when you listen to it, it sounds complicated, but it really has been worked on very hard to make sure that it works for you. And after all, you're a registered nurse. If you made it through nursing school and you made it through all of the other things that you had to do to become a registered nurse, getting your license is the prize, and this team is here to make sure that it's done in a timely manner and is here to help you out.
Thanks, Dawn. We've really worked on our website and gone to the extreme as having our step-by-step directions with pictures included on how to renew online, because we know it can be a little intimidating following the two-step process that we have. And so there's pictures and step-by-step on how to renew, how to apply, the different types of licenses. Feel free to take a look at that.
And we're always here if anyone has any questions about the licensing process or any kind of requirements that are out there. We have a wonderful team of folks who are on the phones answering questions and can find those answers for you.
Yeah, we're always here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, aside from national holidays and government holidays. And we did just reopen our front desk downstairs at our Tumwater campus for just making payments only from 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. Well, hey, guys, I think I hear my phone ringing, so it's probably time we all head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Lori and Josh, for explaining the licensing process to us and all of those nuances and misconceptions that may be out there. And we're hoping that through this communication, we may help nurses along with the process. And thank you, Dawn, for being here with us today to go over the importance of licensing and how we are here to protect the public and to ensure that we have a competent nursing population for Washington State.
All right, and thank you for being nurses. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Washington State's Board of Nursing, thank you for listening to our BONcast. Be on the lookout for future episodes.